That actually reminds me of something that came up the other day in Professor Unger in your class, this idea of vitality.
Yes.
And it was funny because he was speaking to us as if we all had the same definition of it, or we all understood it in the same way, which is the modern conception of it, which is the 19th century romantic, sort of loud breaking out of structure.
Exactly.
And it made me think about how etymologically vitality just means life force. And in my religious tradition, life force is something that's directly connected to the heart and the work of purifying it. So those two feel like opposite directions to me. One is looking outside of yourself to feel alive, sort of even deifying your desires, which could give you the illusion of life force. And then the other one is like quietly cultivating something within. So how do you think about that tension between borrowing life force or borrowing this feeling of aliveness from relationships, work, whatever feels most immediate and exciting, and treating it as something that we can actually grow from inside?
I love the contrast you're drawing, and just to underline it, yes, I do think in America in particular, we have a tendency to think of vitality in exactly the way you mentioned. So it's me as an individual grabbing more for myself, breaking from social conventions, and somehow that means I'm more alive, I am more vital. It's all about me and my personal greatness. And I think that is, to even call it a low-level form of vitality might be overly polite. In fact, I think it actually destroys your energies, actually. And like you, I'm very moved from so many other traditions in the world that, on the contrary, will talk about, no, energy is all about the training and cultivation that allows us to energize, literally, the world around us. So in the Chinese tradition, they will say, well, think of spirits above as purely refined energies, and the highest would be the most highly refined energy. And what we are doing is training ourselves and cultivating ourselves to become, in a very literal sense, more spiritual. Our energies become more spiritual, and it's all through the training. And with that training, getting back to the heart of your point, it's all about connection. So it's not about, look at me, look how powerful I am. It's not about power, it's not about me. It's about training these energies and then truly connecting with others and with a larger world.
It also makes me think about religion, and I feel like the modern definition of religion today is very connected to the sense of identity or something you have to defend.
Yes.
And I think when you look at it as something, or when you look at it as an identity, you miss the beauty of it as a practice. Do you think that shift from identity to practice changes how we should even view religion or understand religion?
I agree completely. And just first to underline your opening points, yes, so often now we think of religion as identity. I am X as opposed to Y, and it has all the dangers you've mentioned. And here too, there is a history to this. In much of the world, what we could, and I correctly, I think, refer to as religious practices weren't done in this form of I am X as opposed to Y, I am right, you are wrong. These were practices, and the more we can begin focusing on the practices is the more we can truly open up the power of these traditions. And once you're focusing on practices, it allows the kind of sort of, this is going to strain English, the practice form of dialogue that we were discussing before, because a lot of these ritual practices, they work across cultures, and they're getting at very comparable sets of issues. And if you're not thinking of this, as you said, religion versus that religion, but you're thinking of practices through which we can grow, then it changes absolutely everything.